All right, Mark, Mr. Noots Effinger. Welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast. Actually, I should say, welcome back to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super excited to reconnect.
Dude, I am so glad that you were able to carve me into your busy schedule. Thank you.
Yeah, man, the honor is all mine. I mean, you are such a powerful, happy hustler. You're the co-founder of Newtopia and chief product officer of Bioptimizers and Nootopia, but you're also just such a giving, authentic person. I've really enjoyed just fostering our connection and learning from you and your expertise. And I'm excited to talk about really how to maximize focus, concentration, and creativity with Nootopia and some of these brain optimizing supplements that you've created. But before we get into all that juicy stuff, Mark, what is something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day because, my dad was a monk, right? And so before I was born, obviously, right? My mom's joke is,
yep.
Yep. So let me think here. I am a high school dropout. I dropped out as a sophomore, and I have I have a minor degree in robotics, and I own 2 patents. I own two patents.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's amazing. I mean, what a combo. High school dropout, has patents. I mean, and I know you were in the military as well, right?
Yep. 6 years Air Force. Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wow. Super powerful. And I mean, and I know that childhood shaped your trajectory. The military, I'm sure, shaped your trajectory. And I want to, touch on some of your history, but more so I want to fast forward to where you are now, because I think where you are now is in such a position of impact, really being able to create products that change people's brains and change people's mindsets and change people's lives. And it's super cool to just see what you guys are creating at Nootopia. And for everyone who is interested in some of that backstory even further, we did do an episode with Mark and actually Matt Gallant, who is the co-founder of Bioptimizers as well. That's episode 165. If you guys are feeling froggy and you want to go back and learn more about Mark and his history and Matt's history and the history of the companies. But for the sake of this episode, I really want to get into some of the actual benefits of, what you're doing and how you're showing up in the world with Nootopia. Specifically, let's start with just what is Nootopia and how did you guys start it?
Wow. So that's a great one. That's actually a great one because I think it's a great example of turning tragedy into positive, of how your journey is never A to B. There's a bunch of tributaries that take you down paths that you never would have suspected that can often lead to much greater than you could actually have envisioned yourself. And then the other is the power of the people in your life that are supportive, evangelists, and customers, clients, friends, associates, Facebook friends, people you've never met in real life who believe in what you're doing and are supporters. The guy that did the first podcast ever with me in it was either April of 2012 or 2013 for around the products. It was called Web Nutrients back then. That became Nootopia. He's the guy that inadvertently introduced Matt and I, just by opening a priority mail box, just a generic priority mail box. He opens it, pours it out. There's a bunch of test tubes of powders and pills, and it was that event that changed everything. And so that kind of thing. So it started with, I think I mentioned that my former wife, we had 3 children born at home. We were the geeky couple that were deep into sciences, deep into health and wellness and those things back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. And in 1998, she gave birth to our last child on a leather couch in front of the fireplace, and the midwife gave her 4 oxycodone because she tore. She was kind of a little girl, and she tore a bit. And so instead of me cutting her, doing an episiotomy is what it's called. Any doctor hands you shears and says, "Hey, do you want to make your wife's vagina bigger?" I said, no, I don't think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I'll pass.
No, that would be. So anyhow, they didn't think about it. Back then it wasn't really considered, the super drug it became, oxycodone, but it did. She found a muse, and then 10 years later she committed suicide on that, methadone, and alcohol all at the same time. So that's kind of how it started. And I got pissed, as you can imagine. And that frustration I needed to channel into something positive. Otherwise I was going to implode. And so that positive turned out to be, how can we get people off of addictive substances? How can we do it without making them addicted to something else? And how can we do it quickly and painlessly and affordably so that anybody that had an addictive problem could take advantage of that? So that's kind of how it started. And I explored nootropics back in the 90s, but those were very, very young, early nootropics. And in fact, I built a company doing some interesting things and sold it to my business partner 2 years later, doing a health and wellness product in the human growth hormone supplementation area. And then I bought the domain from him and cleared his debts when I started the company a decade later. So kind of, full circle, right?
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. What a story. And, that's really indicative of what I feel breeds the most impactful companies and humans is oftentimes tragedy, right? When you have a very strong why, when you have a mission that's bigger than yourself, it's bigger than profit or success. And, I love that that's part of your journey. I'm sorry to hear that you had to experience it, but it really does foster that character and that strength. Now, talk to us now a little bit more about Newtopia and more so your mission with the company and where you guys are currently at in terms of, the formulas and who you're serving specifically.
I love that. Thank you, man. So, as you know, we merged with a company called Bioptimizers and formed this new entity called Newtopia. And our kind of overarching statement on that was to, my overarching and a kind of a calling that I feel I've had for a few decades now was to make a monumental contribution to every life we touch, right? That's kind of the 30,000 foot. Like, what are we doing?
Yep.
Why are we on this earth? What's our purpose? It is to make a monumental, not a micro contribution. We want to make a life-changing contribution to every life we touch. And so that was kind of the overarching thing, like, because and not to say that little incremental improvements in people's lives isn't huge, isn't major. It can be the thing that guides you onto your purpose or your passion, right? So I've taught in schools for years, in colleges and high schools on entrepreneurship. I was very lucky, right? Because I usually start out and go, "Hi, my name is Mark, and I'm a high school dropout." Now let's talk about your education.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
So, it's great. And you should see the gaspy responses I would often get from the presiding professor in the room, right? Because
I bet.
But that's one of them. So in helping to come up with a solution to getting people off drugs, that led to what happens if you give people that are not drug addicts. And I had a brainstorming software company at the time that I founded with a co-founder of Century 21 Real Estate. So we had the software that helps. It helps you think clearer and helps you come up with ideas better. So Drew Carey wrote comedy and wrote his book with it. Rick Warren, the super pastor down in Southern California, he and all of his associate pastors used it to write sermons and to write their newsletters and everything else. And then, we were very popular in the comedy industry and then popular in technology. We had about just under 400,000 customers using our software. So,
wow.
So I had a base of smart people, right? And so I could send these people test tubes of crappy tasting powder and say, how does this make you feel? And do you feel smarter, or just do you feel like or is it like fight milk from Always Sunny, you know, where it's it makes you lose weight because you puke your guts out and you crap at the same time.
Yeah.
So anyhow, you know, that was kind of the thing. So that's the 30,000 foot. And then from a Bioptimizer standpoint, which really added a bunch of not just resources and intelligence and greatness, but like loving souls who shared the same, you know, we're from the moment I met Wade first, I met Matt online first on a Zoom call because he's living in Panama. And then Wade came down after 40 years of Zen with Dave Asprey and said, I got to see these guys firsthand and see if they're the real thing. And he walked through our little facility and he and I spent like 4, 5, 6 hours together. He left with a bag of product, you know, some Xamarin juice and, you know, and stuff like that. And called Matt and said, these guys need work, but we like them. They're us. They're, you know, we're the same guys. And so their whole thing was they, you know, the goal of Bioptimizers, when I say they, it's us, right? But our goal is to be able to, you know, to basically get bioptimization, right? To neurological and physiological bioptimization available to everyone on Earth. We want to make it a thing that is affordable, that people don't have to go through the pain and anguish of being biologically sick. You know, we have this meter we call sick to superhuman, right? And it's, you know, it's sick, which everybody, you know, this one, Carrie, after the incident, your recent incident, about how you know, we all have an Achilles heel somewhere, you know, like, right? I mean, my ADHD would be an Achilles heel in any environment except for the one I get to work in, right? It becomes a superpower in the right place. So everybody has that kind of sick thing that we're dealing with. And it could be chronic fatigue. It could be poor digestion. It could be headaches. It could be, you know, like migraines. It could be neurological synaptic activity that sucks. It could be depression. It could be, you know, a compulsion. It could be any kind of, you know, we deal with it all. And so once we admit it, once we actually go, okay, that sucks and that's not the best side of me. So I can do a couple things. I can Band-Aid it. I can work above it. I can maybe even fix it. I can recognize it as a challenge, and I can point at it over there. Stephen Pressfield calls it the resistance. Like whenever you're trying to succeed at something, right, you'll see the roadblocks start piling up in front of you. And if you're really committed to it, they get bigger and bigger. And it's almost like a cosmic or universal or spiritual, you know, speed bump going, are you really committed to this? Are you in? And so,
yeah,
right. I mean, come on, man. You know, you and I have faced that over and over and over. And you go, and the first thing you go is, holy shit, am I out of my, you know, out of my realm? Am I playing in a place I'm not supposed to play? Because that's a question you got to ask. Or is that the resistance poking its ugly head up going, neener, you can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not fast enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have the endurance, right? You're broken. And, you know, because it wants to come up too. I kind of start with there. I go, okay, yeah. So I've got a weakness. I've got a disc out my back that makes me, so I've got you know, I can't feel my legs as well as I'd like to. So I can't run. One of my favorite activities was running. But man, you should see me sprinting up. We have a thing called Snake Alley here. It's the curviest road in America. Okay. It's all bricks and the bricks are on edge so that you have grip because it's like vertical, 275 feet. And wow. And it's like literally it's a snake. It's curvy like a snake. And so I put my timer on my phone, right, with the big numbers so I can see it when I'm running. I bounce at the bottom of the hill, right? And I psych myself up and I say, you're a badass. You're going to take this hill, right? Knowing that my stride is going to be off from what it would have been at my optimum. Screw it, man. And so I get to go power and I go, okay, I'm going to curve. I'm going to start leaning right around that one corner. And then I've got to lean back just like if you're road racing, right? You know, and you're leaning into the curve and right. And so I'm good. Like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that brick right there and I'm going to leap off of that brick to go forward. And then, and I start watching my times go from 40 seconds to 36 seconds to 28 seconds to 27.7 seconds. And, every time I run that thing, it's like, come on, I can do this. And it's that indomitable will to not see your challenge or your problem as a barrier, but as an objective to be able to surpass, right? It becomes a fuel to keep you going. So back to nootropics.
Yeah, exactly.
Where does that lead me? So the deal is there are so
hilarious.
many right. So there's so many times that we try to use brute force. Like when I was young, when I was a younger man, right? When I was in my 20s, I knew that I could outwork anybody because I would just force the energy thing, right? So, right. So go ahead, mofo. I can outwork you. That's how I'm going to win. I'm going to outwork you. I got energy on my side, and my dad taught me to be, to be indomitable and to hustle. He literally said, here's the deal. I used to make, when I was 16, I made parts for nuclear reactors. Okay. I had a job in a machine shop. That's why I quit school. I was making too much money and I was a tennis player. Yeah. So, right. I was just watching a video today on the new mini reactors that you can now power your neighborhood with a mini nuclear reactor. Like, you bury it in the backyard. Hey, you sell power to your neighbors.
Yeah. Jeez.
But so my dad said, I came home and I said, hey, Dad, there's a sign that says no running. And he goes, yeah, I know that. It's for safety reasons. My dad was a machinist at an early part of his life as well. And he said, remember, that doesn't apply to you. He goes, that applies to people that can't handle tennis like you can, that can't dance across the tennis court like you can. You are going to hustle. You're going to outwork the boss. You're going to outwork everybody next to you. You're going to get in early and you're going to work for free until you got to clock in, and you're going to leave late and you're going to clock out and hang for another half hour, an hour, and you're going to learn everything you can and you're going to master your craft. So,
well, and to your point, so just to interject here, I mean, I think that, that's like the mindset for success for sure, is to have that indomitable spirit and to really make sure that, you're happy hustling your dream reality and not just letting barriers block your way. But I do think you said something, which I wanted to just, go back and visit, which is you talked about how, we are producing and we all have weaknesses that could be looked at as potential strengths in the right area, like your ADHD. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat where we haven't really explored our unique gifts to the fullest capability. One thing that I really love about these nootropics, which I know probably some people say it differently. I don't know, nootropics. How do you say it? What?
Yeah, I like to say nootropics because it rolls off the tongue better. Because nootropics, though, is the correct Greek. Yeah. This will be coming to you. Yeah. I'll be sending you some new packaging, but yeah.
Oh, what? Oh, cool. Well, so to the point, I mean, it's like these nootropics help unlock your gifts. They really do. It's like I took a brain flow before this interview, and I feel my brain synapses turn on. And you mentioned the incident, like I had carbon monoxide poisoning, and Mr. Noots and I were talking about some of these different protocols to really enhance my performance and my cognitive ability throughout this time. And he also has a couple different protocols to help. And it's like, you're not using nootropics as a drug or as an addictive substance. Neither am I. I use it as just a cognitive enhancer to take what I already have and reveal it and to shine light on it. And I do want to just kind of talk to the safety component, because I think a lot of people maybe get caught up here when it comes to nootropics. Talk to us about, Newtopia's safety measures and how you guys ensure that only the best ingredients make it into these capsules.
I love that question, Carrie. That it's huge. So when I started developing these in 2008, there wasn't a lot available to work from. There was some Russian import, stuff, what they call research chemicals, RCs. And so I started buying. You could only get 3 months worth from one, for 3 months of what would be kind of considered a clinical dose for one individual. So there was no way to make a scalable business out of it. And I had no intention. I just wanted to help get people off drugs. And once I was there, once I got to that point, I was going to move on to some other stuff. I've got enough technology background that I could do a lot of stuff. And there's always, in the back of my head, I've always go, what's the next company I want to found? This is number 19. So that's a thing, right? But,
wow.
So
that's impressive.
That's a clue to ADHD run wild, right?
Yeah. Touche.
So there's a thing called the LD50. And as I was building up these stacks, which was, I would pair two neurochemical components together. They're, precursors to neurochemicals, like a precursor to serotonin and then maybe a precursor to dopamine. I would pair them together, send off test tubes to friends of mine and these executives that I know that use my software and said, how does this make you perform? Or, is good, bad, otherwise. And so I do those in pairs. And every one of the components, I had to do background research and say, what is the LD50? And the LD50 is basically, if you fed this stuff to mice, to rats in the lab, the LD50 is at what point, at what toxicity do 50% of the rats go away? Do they die? And so I would only use components that had no reasonable LD50. Basically, you could take as much you want and you might get sick, but you wouldn't die and it's not going to cause any permanent damage anywhere. So that I know that's not like inspiring, but that was the first part. The second part was, right? Yeah, right. Great. It won't kill you. Probably.
Yeah. That's a plus.
But the other side was how many natural extracts and components can be used to basically provide the baseline elements to create the perfect nootropic stack for achieving the ideal thing that you want to accomplish. And that's why with Newtopia, we've got 9 different formulas in the Nootopia rack, and then we have a 10 now. We just came out with a product called GABAlicious, which is a GABA agonist drink, right? It's a fruit tasting drink, and it basically chills you. And our idea was essentially, years ago, I had made some interesting products that were used in the festival industry, and I wanted to make an alcohol replacement that had no downside, all upside, and also would maybe even amplify whatever else you're doing and make you feel chill. So now we have 10 products, right? So, but each one of them has a very specific set of neurotransmitters that it works on, and a balance of the other neurotransmitters, so it's not so peaky, it's off the charts on dopamine and no serotonin, or it's all acetylcholine and no dopamine or no noradrenaline. So what we did is we started, and Matt actually categorized this brilliantly, Matt Gallant did, in saying, all right, let's focus on creating optimum states, optimum operating states. So you can say, I want to get into this state. I want to get into the happy state. I want to get into the focus state. Those are not necessarily the same formula, right? One of them is going to be more serotonergic. One's going to be more dopaminergic and more noradrenaline and adrenaline. And so what we did is we started creating those, we started optimizing those specific states. But on top of those states, we said, how do you make a stack that is going to perform even if the individual taking it is in a sick state or a suboptimal state? Just so we get the right chart going, the right scale going. We've got sick, suboptimal. Suboptimal is not your best day. It's kind of when you wake up groggy and you kind of never get out of that feeling, right? Is suboptimal. Optimal is the state you pretty much have most days, right? You feel good. You maybe you don't feel rock star, but you feel pretty good. But that's the one most people operate in, 70, 80% of the time. Then you've got, and that's if you're in good health, right? If you're in good health, you're exercising, you're eating clean, you're getting good sleep, right? You're not drinking too heavy, right? Your bong is not getting a workout on a daily basis. Then you're going to be at kind of right? The optimal state. But then you have super optimal. And we're back to the bong already, aren't we? And and super optimal is that state of where you got a incredible amount of sleep that the night before, you had exercised the previous day, your toxicity level is really low in your body, you ate your food at the right time for whether you're doing OMAD, right, 1 meal a day, or whether you're doing Sean Phillips, infected you, and now you're doing 6 meals a day, and they're protein, carb, and fat balances in a very specific ratio, or whatever you're doing, or you vegetarian, or eating grass-fed, grass-finished meat, whatever that is you did all those things right over the last couple of weeks, and suddenly you're able to kind of cycle into this super optimal, right? And super optimal is a state that most of us consider our best state. But every once in a while, Carrie, right? We want to go above and beyond. And when we go above and beyond, right, we want to be like Barry. And right?
I love it.
We want to, and it's so funny. It was a pretty great series. But you want to get into that superhuman state. And the superhuman state is the thing that, from my perspective and my experience, outside of people that are super good at meditating, at getting out of their head, maybe they've done some really good exercises, like they've done maybe an ayahuasca journey or something, and they've kind of gotten out of their ego, and they're now operating at a pretty high level. I consider Matt and Wade my partners to definitely be at there. A number of other folks in our team are at that level. And then, of course, a ton of the people that I get an opportunity to meet at some of these trade shows and events and those things, and some of the podcasters like yourself that I get to work with. They've committed to getting themselves into a state, an operating state, where if they need to go become a badass, if they need to go full Bruce Willis and, right, or Neo, if they got to be Neo, they can go there. They know how to go there, because it's both the state of mind and it's also a state of neuro and biochemistry, right? You got to believe you can do it. And then you've got to have the neurochemistry and the biochemistry to be able to go there for a long enough period of time that you can accomplish this thing that normally would take, that the normal humans couldn't do very well, right? Only a very elite. And so the nootropics that we built, I knew that I needed to get people into that state. So what I said was, okay, what are some big problems? Did that make sense, by the way, Carrie?
Yeah, it did. And I really like how you broke it down in terms of going from sick to superhuman. I think that visual is really beneficial for me because I am a visual guy. I learn more from visuals. Some people are more auditory, and I think if you guys out there, all the happy hustlers listening, and if you're not, watching on YouTube, I highly recommend, because Mark is very animated. He's pulling up things showing on the online, on the videos that you guys would want to see as well. But it's really good to see that example, and, getting someone to superhuman is possible. And it really does. It takes the proper stack, and it's all about getting yourself in that state. So continue forward, but it definitely makes sense.
No, a number of you know Sean Stevenson prior to him passing away recently.
Yep.
He was a good friend and a mentor in many ways. I loved his philosophy on psychology. He said, one session, I don't care if it takes 3 days, but when we're done, you're done. You're out of it. That is not an issue. And I loved his belief. Now people would say Sean would be at the broken level, right? He'd be the sick. Sean never believed that. He never lived it. He got out of his own way, and he was a superhuman for a large portion of his life. And he couldn't live there all the time. He cycled in. He got sick once in a while. But man, that guy was a great example of somebody that should have been like I feel the same way. I should have been roadkill. I'm a high school dropout that everybody said, I literally at the high school, they had a list of the top 3 least likely to succeed. And I was number 3 on that list, and they announced it over the intercom. Right. So,
oh my goodness.
So, right. I had my 10 year, I wasn't invited to my 10-year reunion because I never graduated. So I just sold my first company a couple of years prior. So I did the inevitable thing. I helped finance my 10-year reunion so that I could get invited.
That is awesome.
I bought my way in, and it was great. And my wife and I, it was super cool. So the thing is once we recognize our weaknesses, once we start cataloging, we start being very honest with ourselves. Like we were talking just a little while ago about going from having a super high tolerance to stress and bullshit in our lives to suddenly having a short temper and being not having that capacity, right, to deal with those things as well. So you go, okay, cool. I'm gonna put that over here on the sick or suboptimal list. So then you go, how do I deal with that? Well, I literally am coming full circle on the stack topology. So just so I go, okay, so what is one of the factors that everybody's dealing with? Everybody's dealing with some kind of inflammatory response, often because of oxidative stress. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if you've had a challenge with carbon dioxide, you've had major oxidative stress, right? Your body has gone into oxidative convulsions. So let's make sure that we've got a really deep, hardcore antioxidant layer in our capsules and our drinks and our sprays, right? So that gets rid of this thing that's competing with your ability to perform well. So that was one. Number two, the other is a drink, right? Kira, you know this one intimately, both for family, friends, and associates and high-performing individuals that you work with, is adaptogens. Is those of us that press hard, our adaptive nature, our adrenals get taxed to the max. And eventually, we don't respond very well. We have this instantaneous, right, zero tolerance for bullshit, and that can be good, and it can also become problematic if, in fact, we're not sensitive to the individuals we're working with or around us, and we're trying to move the needle in life and in business. Is if we're super short. I mean, Dan Pena can get away with it. I can't. So that was another part. Was let's build an adaptogen layer on it so that we can reinforce adrenal release, and we can basically help the adrenals work better. And then on top of that, then we needed to have something that we wanted potentiators for, like organic potentiators that would increase the effectiveness of everything we're taking. So it amplifies it. So we wanted to have a layer of potentiators that basically increase the output of whatever we're making, so that we don't have to use super clinical doses. We don't have to use doses that are 2x or 3x or 5x to get the result. We can use doses that are 1/2x or 1/4x, potentiate them, and get not only a better response curve, but we can get a longer response curve, and we get no crash at the end. So we have that. And then we have the components like with nootropics, because you're typically, one of the components that you're almost always increasing is acetylcholine levels in the brain, which are the things that cross the synaptic gap and help you think and help you memorize and help you recall. That's acetylcholine. So you want to have a thing called a choline donor, right? It's like it's the thing that gives you an infusion of choline, so that you don't use up your choline in the nootropic and then feel like crap, or just don't feel as good as you otherwise could. And then you want to do you want to do the nootropic, and then you want to tweak the nootropic, right? And it can be as simple as a phosphatidylserine could be one, which I love because it does membrane repair on all the cells in your body, and it helps your mitochondria produce ATP, and it's really great. Or PQQ is a great one. There's a thing called bio-PQQ, which is an element, similar stuff that basically increases the mitochondrial output, the ATP, in a very sane way that doesn't produce a bunch of crappy byproducts, detritus that you've got to clean out at an excess rate. I mean, you do mitochondria poop. That's what they do, right? They turn the various nutrients into ATP. And whenever you do that, you have a conversion process. You're going to get some some carbon dioxide, you're going to get some output, right? So it's going to be some exhaust.
Yeah.
So you want to clean that stuff up. You want to find ways to clean that up. And so you want to create that. So we try to do all of that within every one of our products so that you're not like going into a high performance state and then having to write a check for it later on, a performance check that says, we're going to need to fix you later, right? You can't do this forever. It's talk to a meth addict. I just talked to the mom of a meth addict last night. So we're going to be helping her out, right? She's got a 36-year-old daughter who has 4 kids. The state's saying we're going to take your kids away in 5 months if you don't do something about this. And so we're going to help her. Well, my first thing was, what's your diet like? And you'll notice that people that are not healthy, they often do a sequence of unhealthy things because they're not thinking clearly, right? You start doing shitty stuff, you make bad decisions, and you get these kind of compound bad results. So, okay, well, I do meth because if I don't do meth, I feel like really fatigued. I don't have any energy. I can't do anything. So I do the meth, which then makes, and then I'm meth. I'm wired on meth, and then I'm eating Doritos because it's the closest thing at hand, and I eat a whole bag of Doritos, and then I don't drink enough water. And so I have soda pop, and then I do Mountain Dew because Mountain Dew tastes better than water. And so, and it's just a sequence of poor decision making. But, and I don't know if you've ever been through those series, you know what I mean? Where you just kind of start stacking poor decision making on top of poor decision making.
Yeah.
But
I think we all have. I mean, and that's, and just to your point, just real quick, I mean, those bad decisions, they do compound, and everyone out there listening and watching can resonate with making poor choices. But now it's time to, really focus on those little decisions that compound over time, the compound interest, of those good actions, and having discipline to adhere to those things that do serve you. Just in terms of actually, oh, you got your dog here? Oh, love it.
Doggy's here.
Doggy. Welcome.
Here,
while we're on the topic, Mark, I'm curious, what foods would you recommend for brain health and for just optimizing performance? Is there anything that you're like the happy hustler, since you're talking about Doritos and Mountain Dew? Obviously we want to avoid that kind of crap, but is there anything that you see that as really beneficial to include in your diet for brain health and longevity and performance?
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent. I'm a huge component of electronics. I'm a huge proponent of. I was a resistor just now. Now I'm a capacitor. I'm a huge proponent of oil, fatty, right? Fatty acids, fatty oils, really good, healthy oils. And it can be anything from C8, from a good coconut oil, C8 or MCT oil, more importantly. And then I'm like right now I'm on this kick because I'm doing a lot of nerve regeneration. So artichokes and some of those, really fibrous vegetables with really high output. I eat, Tessie will tell you, I have 2 to 3 stalks of celery every morning. For a couple of benefits. One is, they've got some great minerals in there because celery pulls minerals. All organic. Don't use non-organic celery, but it also has a bit of an aromatase effect. So it's gonna help release some of the testosterone that's bound to the proteins in your body, and it's also gonna mitigate some of the estrogen rise that you normally get when, like, I'm 60 years old. My testosterone levels are equivalent to a 25-year-old athlete, 27-year-old athlete. So, and I don't do TRT. I do it all naturally. And it's, a byproduct of those kinds of things. I believe in OMAD, but I don't do it. One meal a day.
What's OMAD?
I do, 1 meal a day, right? 1 meal a day. Chastity's great at it. She has this ability. I don't have, I'm inherently hypoglycemic as a byproduct of doing Accutane when I was young, being a white rat when I was young. And so So I don't last as long, but the oils, which, and by the way, just for your viewing audience, so one of the things we do in every one of our capsules outside of our sublingual caps where you open them up and pour them under your tongue is we include a very dense oil, an omega-3 oil, and vitamin D, and often vitamin D and K, because those are super, super important for brain health. And also nootropics love oil when it comes to crossing the blood-brain barrier. And they also smooth the trajectory of the nootropics, so you don't get this spikiness. You don't get spike, fall, as the nootropics do their enzymatic conversion process in the brain. So, yep. So fibers, vegetables.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, let's hear.
All right. Hold
on. He's going to get something for everyone who's just listening. I think though, I don't know everyone listening, the celery. What is that?
Yeah. So this is a product I've been taking for years. Now I used to do it as a powder, and now I'm building it into a pouch. But it's 4 different organic fibers. It is a nootropic stack, and it is basically it's a metabolism increaser, right? Enhancer. So increase your metabolic rate without increasing your heart rate or doing vasoconstriction. So I call it.
Wow.
I call it Slenderlicious. My gut flora was damaged from doing the Accutane when I was young, and so I have to work very diligently to increase my bowel flora and to keep it in balance. I have P3OM from Bioptimizers and Masszymes when I'm doing a good protein diet, as well as K-Pax. I take all the products, but those have been real game changers for me. But this is a diet program, so I call it fullness, right? Because fiber. Furnace, because it's increasing your metabolic rate, right? So it's burning more calories even while you're sitting. And then feel fantastic, because it has a nootropic stack that increases serotonin levels, which make you feel happy. So, or at least stabilize your mood, I should say. So anyhow, I'll send you some of this. I think you might enjoy it.
Wow. Yeah,
super
man,
good when
that's
you're doing
awesome. Well, and just yeah, there you go. Well, and just to kind of run through some of these breakthrough brain formulas, for everyone out there, you guys can go to actually Nootopia.com. That's Nootopia.com/happy hustle and save yourself, I think 10%, but even potentially more on these amazing nootropics. But they have one called Power Solution, which is really good for aggression, on demand, elevated mood, mental clarity. Then they have one called Upbeat, which is really all about confidence, ambition, positivity. They call it positivity in a pill, which I do love that one. The Apex, which is for calmness, creativity, neurogenesis, and that's all about limitless focus. Then they have one called Focus Savagery, which is for deep focused, intense drive, hyper productivity. That one is, you got to be ready when that one hits, because that one is really all about hyper focus on demand. You got Nectar X, which is performance, clarity, and neurogenesis. And then you have Brain Flow, which is the one I took today for confidence, performance, smooth energy. It's all about getting in that flow state in that formula. Oh, I love the new packaging. Then you have Mental Reboot, which is AM. They have a brain detox, calm, and clear mental fog. I'm actually taking these. I've only done these, Mr. Noots, for just, 1 or 2 cycles, but I think I need to do more just to flush this stuff out, given my current brain state. But it's all about to reset your brain, because they have a mental reboot AM and a mental reboot PM, which is the deep sleep brain cleanser. And then they have the Zamner juice, which is like an actual spray that you spray in your mouth. It's all about mood booster, verbal fluency. It chills you out, but it really helps, for that rapid rapid neurotransmitter stimulation. And then they have the new formula, which is the GABAlicious. But you know what's cool about these two is you can get them without caffeine. So if you get the jitters from caffeine, you know, a lot of these formulas are customizable. You can actually, you go through like this intake process and you actually, you know, see what is going to work best for you. And they're very customized. So if you guys want to check these out, again, go to Nootopia.com/happy hustle, save yourself some moolah, check them out. I mean, these are some of the best on the market, if not the best on the market. They're the best I've ever tried. That's for sure. And, you know, they're non-addictive, they're natural, they're safe. You guys, I know you third-party test them, right? And it's like, they're the real deal when it comes to really optimizing your productivity and your performance. And you guys know, if you listen to me at all, like, I'm not a product pusher. I don't just represent anything that throws money my way. I actually have to take it and actually have to like it and utilize it. And this is one of those things that has really made a really positive impact on my life and my performance. So I'm just curious, Mr. Noots, which out of those formulas is like your favorite, if you had to name one?
It was APAC. I do my customized, and you said it right, Carrie, is everything is customized and personalized to the individual. Like we do this, you do a medical intake form, and then we take this, the collective knowledge that we've been pulling together since 2008, and we customize your capsules, drinks, sprays, sublinguals to your neurology and physiology so that you can, we just found it works a lot better that way, because one size doesn't fit all. We all have unique neurochemistry and biochemistry we need to play with. So that was one, but I'm a huge proponent of cycling Apex. I love the fact that I can't even feel when it comes on. I just know that I'm on it. It's kind of like if, well, I was going to say if you take mushrooms, it's kind of like it just sneaks up on you, right? It's sleeper. It's like a Pinto. I had a good friend, Burl Woods, when I was in high school. Burl had a 1972 Pinto with. If anybody is old enough to remember what a Pinto was. This crappy little two-door car that Ford made. And then it had, we had a turbocharger in it. So it was a 2000 cc four-cylinder with a turbocharger. And then we had a shortened rear axle on it and just what looked like stock steel wheels. And we could beat Porsche 911s all day long with this thing. So it was a sleeper, right?
That's awesome.
Well, Apex is a sleeper. You take it. It comes on after 40 minutes or so, between 20 and 40 minutes, and suddenly you notice you get this heightened sense of ability to perform. Your focus is higher, your follow through is better. And then 11 or 12 hours later, you're going, hey, I'm still functioning at a really high level, but I don't feel wired at all. I feel like I could go to sleep if I wanted, but I don't have to. And so it's this really incredible kind of, collection of components. And I love it. It's also, it was one of the goal when I made that was how deep could I go down the rabbit hole of making Celastris paniculatus, which is this intellect tree seed out of India. How deep could I go down that rabbit hole to make it into a super nootropic? And that's kind of where Apex ended up. So, but
wow,
here's the deal. The reason we made Mental Reboot was our manufacturing where I built our company is in Vancouver, Washington, right across from Portland, Oregon. And as many of your listeners may know, Washington was one of the first states to legalize marijuana. So when that happened, we had Washington, Oregon, California, right? Denver, obviously, Denver, Colorado, and then of course it spread like wildfire through the United States. And we were getting more and more of our customers were smoking weed to whether it's medicinal to fall asleep at night or just to chill or as a replacement for alcohol or just getting back to their 60s roots. And so I needed something to help people clear their synaptic, synapses in the brain and detox the brain in a non-invasive way. They couldn't go get NAD plus treatments with Katrine or do some of those things. So how do you do it? So as I was studying how the brain works to detox itself, and it has a process it does every night where when you fall asleep, the brain shrinks a little bit. And around each of the capillaries, it opens up space that the cerebral spinal fluid will flow around and it'll use it to extract the toxins out of those capillaries and then out back through the spinal cord and then out the body. So it uses that process. So I said, holy crap, this is interesting. How could I kind of hijack that process and amplify it? And so I made this collection of nootropic compounds that pass the blood-brain barrier. They take advantage of that process and they radically increase the extraction method that the brain uses already so that you get cleaner and cleaner. And then you wake up clear-headed. It helps you sleep as well because it amplifies that extraction process, which then puts basically a tax on the brain at night, and that turns into dreams and other stuff. It's kind of great, but basically it pays the tax at night, and then you wake up in the morning and your tax has been paid, the check's written, and you're off to the races. And then you can do the morning one if you want, and that's going to set a baseline for you to take the other stuff. So, yeah, man.
Wow. I mean, and I'm sure the happy hustlers can just hear it, with Mark, aka Mr. Noots, talking. It's like he's an expert in this stuff. He spent his whole life developing, these formulas and this knowledge and this wisdom. And, that's really why I feel so confident about recommending it, is because I've seen it work in my own life, but the science is there, the literature's there. And, I really think it's a great introduction to what's possible for you out there listening, just really taking your performance to the next level. And, I'm just excited to be on the journey and to get to try them first, like oftentimes, Mark will send me cool stuff. And so I'm just really grateful. So you guys, again, check it out at Nootopia.com/happy hustle. Now, Mark, I do want to put you through the rapid fire round real quick. And again, I think we went through some of this stuff. Oh, what do you got? You got call it? What is that? You're holding up something.
So yeah, let me. I gotta talk about this, Gary. I gotta talk about this.
Okay, talk about it.
I'll do it real quick. So here's the deal. So about 2 years ago, I started developing a mushroom capsule, a highly concentrated mushroom capsule for neurogenesis. Everybody, most people know that lion's mane is pretty well known for helping what's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which is essentially basically the precursor to creating new brain cells. So you have good BDNF going on, and you're activated. You're gonna start creating new neurons. So I was working on that in the lab, and thank you. And Chastity, who is a 5-star chef, come say hi. Say hi to the folks.
Hey, get in here.
To
the happy hustlers.
How are you?
Hey.
Genius and awesome.
Fantastic.
So Chastity saw me doing that, and she was basically organizing everything for me, was pouring stuff into containers, was pouring mushrooms. And we had lion's mane, cordyceps, red reishi, and lion's mane, cordyceps, red reishi, and dur and chaga, which is kind of not a mushroom, but it is. It's a parasite on the birch trees. So it's great. So pouring these things, and we're doing deeper and deeper extractions. We're going from 1-to-1, right? Like pure, just a warm water extraction, to 10-to-1, to 20-to-1, to 50-to-1, to 100-to-1, trying to get the BDNF activation components and the adaptogens and the anti-cancer activity of mushrooms, more and more and more of that with less and less product. So I could put it in the capsule, right? Because I wanted one, me, right? I'm the one capsule guy. You shouldn't have to take 10. Take one. Just take one. It's enough.
Yeah.
I want it to last all day. So in doing that, she's going, hey, this smells kind of chocolatey. And then she starts mixing it up. And at the same time, she was going, hey, I want some collagen because I want to, I want the skin benefits of collagen, and I want to drink it. I don't want to put it on externally. So doing it, and it started becoming this really chocolatey tasting stuff. And so we started playing with that. And eventually she starts mixing up cacao and some other stuff. And then Matt got involved and Matt has an incredible palate and taste for good stuff. And Yogi, right, my dog. So Frisbee master. So anyhow, it ended up becoming this incredibly deep chocolate drink that it naturally tastes chocolatey, but we added some cacao and some cocoa butter and some other stuff because of the antioxidant properties. And again, I love oils. It's got C8 in it. It's got collagen in it. It's got 1, 3, and 4, type 1, 3, and 4 collagen. But this is an incredible nootropic collagen chocolate drink that literally 17 grams, 1 scoop. Here's an old scoop. 1 scoop of this.
Wow.
I'm sorry, 2 scoops of this is 17 grams. Is that right? 2 scoops, 17? 2 scoops of that, 6 ounces to 8 ounces of water. Throw some ice cubes in. Put it in your coffee. I don't care. Do it as a midnight Tai Chi ceremony. It's the equivalent. It's the equivalent of 1.485 or 1.488 pounds of pure mushroom extract. So in one little drink, you're getting almost 1.5 pounds of pure mushroom extract, along with a bunch of other benefits. But it's an incredibly powerful nootropic drink. It tastes like chocolate, and I use it. I have it every morning. And the other side effect of it is if you take it consistently, it can get rid of gray hair. So
wow, is that for sale right now?
It at the end of the month, you'll see at the end of the month, and the same Carrie Jack Happy Hustle podcast discount code will apply. But it is a game changer. It is a game changer. You're going to love it. I'm sending you some now. And let me interject this. I'm sending you some now because Carrie Jack has set the high bar in how to do a podcast. When I was done with the first podcast, Carrie, literally the next day, I had a Happy Hustle hat, some merch, some cool stuff. And it was like, holy crap, man, this guy is so on top of it. And literally I had to write my whole team. We got about 100 employees now. I had to write the team and say, this is the high watermark for podcast genius. And I thank you. And so if when our podcast partners get their Newtopia pack and their follow-up stuff on the podcast, just know that this is the guy that created that. Love it. So anyhow, all right, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you, brother. All right, let's do it. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I appreciate you and the kind words. Now, the rapid fire route, I do want to put you through this again. This is where I ask you random things and you answer honestly, first things that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Hit me, brother. Hit me.
All right, let's do it. Okay. Favorite food? Go.
Go. My God. Asparagus.
Favorite movie?
The original Blade Runner.
Favorite book?
One of two. Either The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, or what's it called? The War of Art.
Oh, best business
Steve
advice.
Pressfield. Oh man, do it. Quit hesitating. Quit thinking you're not good enough. Quit holding back. Do it. Dip your toe in all the way. Figure it out as you go. Surround yourself with incredible mentors. And even if you don't succeed, the learning is worth it. The people you meet are worth it. I have, again, as a high school dropout who should be roadkill, who should be another one of those statistics of people that died and failed, is I got super lucky. I had a guy tell me, my stepdad told me in 8th grade, you'll never make money working for the other guy. So I said, who's the other guy? And he said, he's driving a Porsche, a Cadillac, a Mercedes. I got a job at a tennis club. They drove Porsches, Cadillac, and Mercedes, and I interviewed every one of them. And in the process of my life, as a result of going out and just trying stupid stuff that might have the potential to be some kind of a business or some extension of my heart and my life and my love and my art, is, in fact, my first business cards said, art needs no justification, right on the business card. It was great. And
I love it. And that's great, man.
And I think that's the most important. Wouldn't you say, I mean, come on, man, as an entrepreneur yourself, wouldn't you say that just getting out of your own way and realizing that you can make it perfect later. Just make it today and iterate and get better and learn all of this. There's so much stuff to learn. I learn every day from the great people that I get to meet, like yourself. I learn these amazing things that it would have taken me forever to stumble around and figure out. And the other thing is these great mentors, advisors, coaches, guides, gurus, super nice people, customers, they pick me up when I fall. And I'm like the guy, right? I'm like Jerry Lewis in those old 60s movies where he's falling all over the place and Dean Martin's got to pick him up. I'm that guy, right? I'm John Candy, right? I'm a total dork. I'm lucky. I'm super lucky. And as a result of just doing this thing that we do called hustling and entrepreneurship and being passionate about life, is you become a magnet for great people. Wade and I had
Amen to that.
Wade called me this morning and said, "Hey, let's talk about some of these things." And I just, like, I got done with the call and I turned to Chastity and I said, how lucky, how fortunate am I that I get to have these things? Matt is over in Bosnia with our research team right now. We basically fund a research arm of a university over there. And he's with the research team, and and we're texting, and he's like going, "Dude, check this out, and they're having these incredible dinners and stuff, but they're using dinners as an excuse to try out the new probiotics stuff, the new Masszymes that we just upgraded. And I get to play with these guys, man. I get to go. They invited me into the same sand. They had already built the sandcastle, and they said, "Hey, come here. We got a room for you. Look at this."
I love it, man. I know. He's got a sweet laboratory. I'm going to bring you back because this was the rapid fire round. Come on back, Mr. Noots. All right. So give me your spirit animal. Let's hear it.
Oh my God. It's right now it's Augie Doggy. It's August. He's become the dude that,
I love it.
Yeah. He's loving, he's
That's
kind,
awesome.
he's smart,
and
he attacks me every morning.
What are 3 things you're most grateful for?
Chastity, who has hung with me through thick and thin. The relationship with these guys called Bioptimizers that have pulled in my little company and made us feel like rock stars, and the incredible people that I've had a chance to grow up with. You have no idea how close to death I've been. There's a guy named David McGinnis who founded PR Web, who when I'm tweeting my wife's death, I'm tweeting that I just see her on the ground, and there's a guy asking if he can poke a 6-inch needle into her heart to restart her heart, and I'm tweeting this, and I'm just in shock. And he says, and he points of his camera at a house, a contemporary home, and then a view of the ocean. And he says, if you want it, it's yours. I got it for you. There are people in your life that, right? Yeah. So
yeah, wow.
And you, man.
Wow, man. Okay, well, listen, Mr. Noots, you crushed this whole interview, and you have so much knowledge and stories and charisma. It's just awesome to connect with you, brother. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you for the work that you're doing in this world and really positively impacting so many people's lives with these products. Again, thank you for just sharing your love, your light, and your wisdom with us. So I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, brother. You're the awesome. You're the awesome. I can't wait. It's great. We could do this again sometime. And I'm going to be throwing chocolate your way, and you're going to tell me how you like it, along with some other.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. Final question, Mr. Noots. What does happy hustling mean to you? Oh,
dude. Doing what you love in a way that you love to do, right? Like you and I get to do, like, I'm so fortunate. I get to make literally every day. Let me show you something. I'll send you a picture. Yesterday, I started taking, so I'm not. This is not me injecting me. I took a syringe. I made up a really, really cool slurry of vitamin B12, PQQ, some methyl B12, PQQ, and a couple of oils, and I injected it into some phosphatidylserine soft gels to see the recombinant effect of it. I get to do that, man. Like nobody who in their right mind would pay me to do that.
That is so funny. I love it, man. I love your passion for it too. It's so awesome to hear and see. And, it's just super cool, man. So again, guys, I hope you all got some value from this one. Again, check out Nootopia.com/happy hustle and Mr. Noots online. Mr. Noots, do you have a social media handle that you want people to check out as well?
Oh, just go to there's a Newtopia. So I think Mark Effinger on Facebook, which I still do some stuff, but if you go to facebook.com/ and Newtopia, there's that, but there's also a private group that anybody can join. We encourage people to just come on in, and we'll teach you about Nootropics. We do some live Facebook stuff. I'm not as cool as the cool kids, so I'm not on TikTok yet, but watch for that. And then the Mr. Noots podcast will be coming soon. I'll send you some pictures of our new podcast room we're doing on the 3rd floor here. There are these huge half-round windows and a massive Newtopia logo, and it's going to be great. So thank you, brother.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, awesome. Well, check him out, guys. Mr. Noots. You can check him out on Facebook. Newtopia on Instagram is a really great handle to follow as well. And obviously, again, you guys know where to get these. We'll link it all up in the show notes, Nootopia.com/happy hustle. Thank you all for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everyone.